The news of Ukraine launching hundreds of kamikaze drones at the very heart of Moscow sent shockwaves not only across Russia but throughout the entire international community. The spectacle of swarms of small but deadly aircraft buzzing through the skies above one of the most heavily defended capitals in the world was both unprecedented and deeply symbolic. It marked a new chapter in modern warfare, one that is less about the sheer power of tanks and jets and more about ingenuity, persistence, and the ability to harness affordable technology in a way that challenges even the most advanced defenses. To understand the depth of what unfolded, one must examine the story from multiple angles: the construction of these drones, their technical capabilities, their cost compared to Russian defensive systems, their psychological impact, and the broader message they send to the world. The drones themselves do not look like intimidating machines from science fiction films. Instead, they resemble small fixed-wing aircraft or enlarged hobbyist drones, crafted with simplicity in mind. On the outside, they are streamlined, lightweight, and optimized for distance rather than speed or maneuverability. The bodies are often built from composites, plastics, or even 3D printed materials, making them inexpensive and quick to produce. With wingspans ranging between 1 and 3 meters, they can be carried to remote fields, roadsides, or hidden locations, where crews set them up for launch. Some are catapult-launched, others hand-launched, but all share the same principle: get airborne with minimal resources and fly far enough to reach the intended target. Their appearance is more like a blend of model aircraft and improvised weapon than traditional missiles, yet this unassuming look hides the potency of their mission. Inside, the drones are stripped of unnecessary complexity. Their interiors are small compartments packed with only the essentials: a compact navigation system, GPS or inertial guidance, wiring, batteries or small fuel tanks, and above all, the explosive payload. The warhead is usually not massive, ranging from 10 to 50 kilograms of high explosives, but it is more than enough to damage symbolic sites, fuel depots, radar installations, or administrative buildings. The propulsion system is often a simple piston engine or an electric motor, chosen for endurance and cost efficiency rather than speed. Some engines are adapted from commercial UAVs, and others are assembled locally with parts that can be easily sourced. There is no cockpit, no landing gear, no recovery system, because recovery is never part of the plan. Once launched, these machines have a single destiny: to crash into the target and detonate. The performance of these drones is astonishing when compared to their cost and simplicity. Many models are capable of flying 400 to 1,000 kilometers, which is a critical range because Moscow lies far from the Ukrainian border. Despite their modest speed, usually between 120 and 180 kilometers per hour, they exploit their small size and low-altitude flight paths to avoid radar. Their noise signature is minimal, especially at night, when the hum of the engine blends into background sounds until it is too late. Individually, they are vulnerable. But when launched in groups of dozens or hundreds, they present a nightmare for air defense systems. Each interceptor missile fired at a drone costs a fortune, sometimes as much as $1 million per shot. The drones themselves, meanwhile, cost only a fraction of that, often no more than tens of thousands of dollars. The economic imbalance is staggering, and it is one of the key reasons Ukraine has embraced this strategy. These drones are not merely weapons of destruction, they are also designed with a degree of controlled precision. Engineers have built in systems that allow them to strike specific coordinates rather than wander randomly over a city. This precision helps minimize collateral damage and ensures that strikes are aimed at targets of political, economic, or military importance rather than purely civilian areas. Some variants include self-destruct mechanisms, meaning if they lose navigation or face malfunction, they explode in mid-air rather than crash into unintended areas. In this sense, safety is not about protecting the drone but about controlling the consequences of its mission. From Ukraine's perspective, another form of safety lies in the fact that these drones eliminate the need for pilots to fly into Moscow's heavily defended airspace. Each successful mission is one less life risked, and in modern warfare, the preservation of trained personnel is as critical as battlefield gains. What makes these drones truly unique, however, goes beyond their design. It is their role in reshaping the psychology of the conflict. To send hundreds of small, cheap machines to the skies above Moscow is to puncture the image of invulnerability that the Russian state projects to its citizens. Moscow has long been considered untouchable, a fortress guarded by layered air defenses like the S-400 and Pantsir S-1 systems. Yet the sight of drones slipping through and causing explosions within the capital undermines that narrative. For the first time since the Second World War, the Russian people are forced to confront the reality of war on their own soil, in their own capital. This psychological blow is as significant as the physical damage caused by the drones themselves. Economics further highlight the uniqueness of Ukraine's drone campaign. A typical kamikaze drone costs anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000, depending on range and payload. Even the more advanced long-range models rarely exceed $100,000 in cost. Compare this to the price tag of Russia's defensive interceptors. Each Pantsir missile can cost more than $100,000, and longer-range interceptors for the S-400 system climb into the millions. Every time Russia shoots down a drone, it spends more money than Ukraine spent building and launching it. This imbalance means Ukraine can continue to launch wave after wave, draining Russian resources while conserving its own. In war, attrition is not just measured in soldiers or equipment, but in economic sustainability. Here, the drones are tilting the balance toward Ukraine. The use of drones also plays into the global evolution of warfare. Traditional models of military power, large armies, heavy armor, fleets of jets, are being challenged by the rise of smaller, decentralized, and cheaper technologies. Ukraine's drone campaign illustrates how a smaller nation, with limited resources compared to its adversary, can still inflict strategic-level impacts by adopting modern asymmetric tactics. By producing drones quickly and at scale, often with contributions from private firms and even civilian enthusiasts, Ukraine has effectively decentralized part of its war effort. This makes it harder for Russia to stop production and creates a resilient supply chain that can adapt to losses or disruptions. The strikes on Moscow are more than tactical, they are deeply symbolic. Each successful hit represents a breach in Russia's claim to security, a reminder that the war it started in Ukraine is no longer confined to Donbass or Crimea but has reached the very core of the Russian state. This symbolism reverberates globally. Allies of Ukraine see it as evidence of resilience and innovation, while adversaries of the West take note of the vulnerabilities even in advanced nations. The message is clear: no city, however fortified, is immune in the age of drone warfare. In terms of operational impact, the drones may not be destroying entire military bases or crippling Russia's infrastructure in one strike. But they are forcing Russia to divert enormous resources into defending its capital and other major cities. Every Pantsir battery moved to Moscow is one less battery defending the front lines. Every interceptor missile fired at a drone is one less available for more strategic threats. This redistribution of defenses weakens Russia's military posture across the board. Furthermore, the constant threat of drones keeps Moscow in a state of tension, forcing continuous vigilance and creating political pressure on the Russian leadership. On the battlefield level, Ukrainian drones also complement other systems. While large cruise missiles or artillery strikes may target specific infrastructure, drones can saturate defenses, distract, or force the enemy to reveal positions. The combination of drones with other forms of attack creates a layered assault strategy that multiplies the effectiveness of Ukraine's limited arsenal. In essence, drones are not just weapons on their own but force multipliers that make every other form of Ukrainian attack more effective. The larger question, of course, is what this means for the future. The mass use of kamikaze drones has already set precedents. Militaries around the world are watching closely, recognizing that the old cost-benefit ratios of defense are being rewritten. If cheap drones can threaten capitals and overwhelm billion-dollar defense networks, then every country must reconsider how it protects its airspace. This realization may drive a global arms race in counter-drone technologies, from directed energy weapons to advanced electronic warfare systems. Yet for the moment, Ukraine has the advantage of having adapted faster to this new era of warfare. The conclusion is clear: the hundreds of kamikaze drones launched against Moscow represent not only a tactical innovation but also a strategic transformation. They embody the principle of doing more with less, of turning simplicity into strength, and of leveraging economics and psychology as much as explosives. They may not topple Russia overnight, but they chip away at its aura of invulnerability and force it into a costly defensive stance. They also inspire other nations to rethink how they might resist larger adversaries in future conflicts. The war in Ukraine has already been called the first drone war, and the strikes on Moscow prove why. These small machines, cheap to build and deadly in swarms, are changing the way battles are fought and wars are perceived. The battlefield has extended from the trenches of Donetsk to the skies over the Kremlin. The consequences will be felt not just in Russia and Ukraine but in military doctrines worldwide for decades to come.